There are many animals in the world that live their lives hidden from humans, but none more secretive than the pelican. You see them at the zoo or maybe by the river. But what do they get up to when no one's looking? Do they talk to each other? Do they have any hobbies? The answers may surprise you. So let me take you back to 1984 when National Geographic published this photo of a brown pelican with an unusual pink hue. It was captured off the coast of Louisiana and immediately sent shockwaves through the scientific community. See, all pelicans are supposed to be white, or at least they were thought to be. But how could there be a brown pelican that wasn't just brown, but also pink? It would be like seeing a polar bear that wasn't white, but green and purple. Now it turned out that this pelican had been selectively bred by humans for its unusual color. But how did they do it? Well, we'll tell you right after. The American white pelican is the most widely distributed pelican in North America, breeding from southern Canada down through the United States and Mexico and even into South America as far as Peru. There are two distinct populations, one that breeds in the Great Lakes and another that breeds in the Gulf of Mexico. And while they do generally stay white, there are some rare instances where they aren't. In fact, brown pelicans have shown up in Florida, and researchers believe it's because of interbreeding between white pelicans and brown pelicans. The genes for brown feathers are dominant, meaning that if a white pelican mates with a brown pelican, their offspring will be brown. But why wouldn't they be pink too? Well, the pink pelican was actually dyed that color. In the early 19th century, people started capturing brown pelicans, then dyeing them pink so they'd look prettier and be more desirable as exotic pets. However, this practice never really took off because the birds are large, awkward, and require specialized diets, which means that dyed pelicans were more likely to die young. But occasionally, a brown pelican with a penchant for swimming in vats of pink dye became a sideshow attraction nonetheless. However, the vast majority of pelicans remain gloriously and naturally white, and thanks to selective breeding in the pet industry, the brown ones mostly stay that way too. See, brown pelicans and white pelicans can't successfully interbreed because they have different shaped beaks. The white pelican has a broad, flat beak with a wide gape, while the brown pelican has a narrow pointed beak with a small gape. This means that when they try to mate, the male's anatomy simply doesn't fit properly into the female's reproductive tract. So while there are brown pelicans and white pelicans, the two species remain reproductively isolated. So how do they spend their time? Well, both species are fish-eating birds that hang out in large groups called flocks. They tend to be found near open water where they can dive into the water and catch fish in their mouths. White pelicans usually work alone or in small groups, while brown pelicans tend to work in larger groups that can number in the hundreds. When hunting, white pelicans typically catch and eat smaller fish, whereas brown pelicans target larger prey. Both species regurgitate a substance called salt-free digestive juices to aid in the digestion of fish, although white pelicans only do so after swallowing their food. Brown pelicans, on the other hand, secrete this liquid before catching their food in order to help break it down. When not hunting, white pelicans like to preen and groom themselves and each other, while brown pelicans prefer to clean their feathers by dust bathing. And yes, pelicans do bathe in sand. They roll around in it to distribute oils and remove dirt and parasites. Then they shake themselves vigorously to remove excess sand, which makes it look like they're dancing. They say nothing is known about the private lives of pelicans, but that isn't entirely true. We know quite a lot about their private lives. For example, white pelicans typically lay 3 to 5 eggs per year, while brown pelicans lay 1 to 3. Both parents incubate the eggs, but only the female tends to guard the nest at night. In the rare event that a pelican egg is laid in a zoo, it will be incubated in an incubator. Since it's too dangerous for the mother to sit on, while brown pelicans have traditionally been viewed as less intelligent than their white cousins, studies have shown that they are just as smart. Perhaps this is why they've chosen to live their lives in secrecy all these years. They're just sick of people underestimating them. Thanks for watching. See you next time.